Welcome to our sewer summit. That's our agenda for the day. Jason will come back and we'll have a presentation on some best practices for preventing and responding to some of our operational emergencies that we might have.
Well, folks, I guess it's time to move on. We got the majority of you back in the room. That was a little different doing our live demo in the middle of the session, but due to some scheduling, we did it that way. But what'd you think? Valuable? We've had some great presentations today. We really appreciate everybody who's participated in our sewer summit to this point. This is as Mike was doing the lead in, he talked about partnership and partnership for excellence, and it's really accurate that in the state of Utah, we do an awesome job, and I put myself in there because we insure you guys, but you do an outstanding job in managing our wastewater and dealing with the challenges that can pose. Sometimes they're hard. Matt talks about literally crumbling infrastructure at times that you've seen it. And we have to deal with those things. We have to deal with all kinds of different challenges there. And by the way, my name is Jason Watterson. I have been at the trust for almost 18 years. Started way back in the aughts in 2008. Things were a little bit different in those times, and I'll dive in and really talk about that. But first, I want to talk about where we stand. From the trust standpoint, this is one of the hardest insurance markets that has ever existed. There was a harder time back in the early to mid 1970s when most insurance companies just said, we are not going to write any insurance for local government agencies. We don't want any of that risk. It's bad risk. And so we're not going to do anything. And that's when the trust was created, was to really deal with that situation, along with similar organizations all across the country. And basically, the trust is a local government. Ourselves, we are similar to a special service district. We partner with you guys to provide insurance. We share losses, right? You pay us premiums. We pay out those claims when we owe the claims. But also part of our job is to help keep you guys out of trouble, to help prevent those losses, prevent problems that may cost you a lot of money or get people hurt, whatever that may be. That's Mike's job and my job here at the trust. These are the things that we're dealing with. Insurance is hard right now. Sometimes we're asking you for stuff, information. Hey, you need to document this and you need to be able to prove it. And sometimes we have programs out there, and we'll talk about that with you in the near future. We'll give you money. We'll give you some of your premium back to get you to do some of these things. Why do we do that? One, to prevent losses, but two, the trust buys insurance. We pay for a certain level, but for those really giant claims, we buy what is called reinsurance. And for us to be able to get the best rate for you, you guys have to be doing those important things. It's really amazing. We just talked to the other presenters today and said, here's kind of the topic that we'd like to look at, but we didn't coordinate anything. I'm really blown away by how much everything kind of dovetails, and my presentation's kind of the same way. And we can get the lunch faster because I don't have to go into some of the detail on those things because we really covered those things. Is it more litigious now than it was a few years ago? Anybody seen that? How many of you have been involved in a lawsuit? Nobody in the whole room wants to admit. Okay, a few have. It used to be, when I started here at the trust, if a kid fell down at a playground and broke their arm, what happened? Mom and dad said, you need to be more careful next time, right? Now what happens? You're going to get sued. It used to be we had a sewer backup. It went into a basement that was a concrete box. And it might have had some cardboard boxes or some fruit in a storage room in bottles or something like that. But it wasn't it wasn't a situation like we have today that we have fully finished basements and they're really high end. So if we have an overflow, a backup, what we call them at the trust, we have a backup into somebody's basement, it's going to cost a lot of money. And the chance that we have a lawsuit out of it really increases as well. So Matt talked about how people think, well, I've got to replace everything. Jennifer talked about that as well. You know, everybody thinks their stuff is invaluable and those Beanie Babies are worth so much money. Well, the reality is going to make them mad, and they might sue us for that. So big losses are real potential there. We have challenges ahead of us, and we're not flush with cash. And so what do we do to deal with these problems? When I first started at the trust, we had a much worse sewer backup problem than we have today. Even though I just told you what I did about costs and lawyers and all of those things, we were pushing $1 million in losses on sewer backups in multiple years in a row. The number of individual events that we had was in the neighborhood of 3x 3 to 4x what we have today. So when I started here at the trust, I'm looking at that. It was some years our number one driver for losses for all the 600 member agencies of the trust. It wasn't 600, it was 400 and something in those days. But a small percentage, about a quarter of the members had sewer exposure, and it was the number one cause of loss. And so we looked at it and we said, okay, what do we do? Are we going to try this and it works?
Where sewage backups have resulted in these fecal fountains of filth in people's homes, and you're literally knee deep in your neighbor's scat.
Who could say it better than Mike Rowe, right? Fecal fountains of filth. I love that. All right. We had a big problem, and we were trying to come up with a way that we could help the members of the trust prevent these backups without blowing their budget, because they didn't have it. The money wasn't there. And so we brought together a working group, and we said, hey, come to the trust. And we picked some of the best and the brightest, the agencies that really were high performers, that didn't have a lot of problems, that did really well. We brought them to the trust. This is back in 2008, 2009 timeframe. And said, hey, we'll buy you lunch. We're going to have a meeting for a few hours, and then we'll buy you lunch. And we just really want to pick your brains and find out the best way to do this to help member agencies of the trust prevent these problems and not blow the bank, right? And so we sat down, and in about a half hour, we had our answer. We're like, wow, how are we going to blow 2.5 hours until we go to lunch? Because it was really pretty simple. And that's what we're going to talk about today, are some of the really simple things that we need to do to control our sewer issues. And the happy end of this whole story is we have about a third to a quarter of the total claims now that we did back in 2008. Why is that? Because you implemented those simple things to prevent those backups. Do we have problems still? Yeah. Every year we have a focus that Mike and I do as part of our jobs. This year we have a dozen member agencies that have had sewer issues over the last several years. And we try to focus a little extra attention on them and make sure they're doing the things that they need to get better. So, all right, let's keep going here. Here's our claims performance. I've been up here batting my gums, and I could have put that up there and showed you just exactly what happened when the members of the trust started inspecting their manholes, when they started paying more attention to cleaning frequency. When they communicated better with the members of their community, the residents of their community. And we have a fairly flat number of claims each year, right in the 30 to 40 claims. We've got a little bit of an upward tick that concerns me a little bit, and I'll talk about maybe why I think that is. But this is what we're talking about. If you want to make somebody mad, this is probably the best way to do it, is fill their basement full of raw sewage. Yeah, that's gonna make them mad. Dollar-wise, back in the old days, we had big dollars, over $500,000 every year, a lot of years around $1 million. We still have one. What happened in 2018? Anybody think of 2018? What? It was a flood year, right? So we had their sewer claims, but a lot of those were based around flooding. We just had really high groundwater levels, stormwater, all of those things combined to provide a big dollar year, over $1 million in losses from that. But it's one of those things. That's why we buy insurance, right? We have about 120 members, not about, exactly 120 members who own and operate a sewer collection system within the trust. 75 of those members had a claim in the last half dozen years. But 45 of those had 0 claims in the last 6 years. That's pretty amazing. Some had more than others. Let's talk about the sewer survey. One of the things that we decided we needed to do as the trust to help us with this whole proposition of dealing with sewer collection systems is we needed information. And when we looked at national sources of information, it wasn't very good, because they're talking about the New York City sewer system and Philadelphia and all of these. They have combined sewer systems back there. So stormwater and wastewater are combined in the same. It's not even in the same world as to how we run our systems in the state of Utah. And fortunately, neither are the losses in Utah like they are. As I looked this up with some of the other agencies like the trust around the country, it was ghastly how much money they were spending there because of the backups. And I'm like, I can't believe you guys haven't been burned at the stake for as many people as they filled their basements with sewage. Once again, we do really well. One of the things we wanted to do was get information so we could see where our challenges are, so we could see who was performing well, who wasn't performing so well, so then we could focus our efforts where they would do the most good. So every year, for I think it's a dozen years, we have sent out what we call the sewer survey, which is just a questionnaire. And we say, how many miles of pipe do you have? How many connections do you have? Do you have an SSMP in place? Do you have a fog program in place? And all of those things. And then we take that information and we normalize it and we send it back to you. And if we were there to hand it out to you, we have your sewer report card here. We only printed up one for each organization, so you'll have to share it amongst you if you've got multiple people here. But it shows your performance, and they're out in the hallway there. If you didn't happen to pick yours up, let's show you. This is what it looks like. Pretty bare bones. It shows the trust average, and then it shows your performance, how you compare to the others. So let's just run through and look at a few bits of information. 120 members surveyed. We didn't get all of them back. We'd appreciate it if you did. If your sewer survey or your report card says no data on it, that means you didn't respond to us. So do better. We would really like to have a complete sampling of all the members so we have a good idea what's going on. About 8,000 miles of pipe. Oddly, that went down significantly this last time, and I still haven't figured out where that happened in the data. About 66 miles of pipe per member. We have about, let's see, just over 80% of the members that have sewer systems are cities. Close to 20% are districts. How do you think the miles of pipe balance out? About 80-20 cities to districts, it's almost 50-50 miles of pipe. So the districts have more miles of pipe. Same thing goes when it comes, and it's actually, yeah, same thing goes when it comes to number of connections as well. Okay. Over 500,000 connections. Average is 4,500. Lift stations. We have 362 lift stations. There's one agency in the state that has almost 30% of those. And I'll let you think about who that might be. I'm not going to announce it, but think about who that might be. They have the vast majority of the lift stations. 57% of those lift stations have backup power. Does that make the risk manager nervous? Yeah, for 43% of them, we got no backup power. Something goes wrong, we hope that second number, 80% are remotely monitored. Does that 20% make the risk manager nervous? Because bad things can happen if we don't know what's going on. So those are areas. If you find yourself in those categories, those are things to work on as well. About 171,000 manholes. Okay. Keep going. Manholes inspected. When I said that we figured out the most important thing that you can do, the cheapest thing that you can do to manage your sewer collection system and prevent backups, we figured it out in about a half hour of just chatting. This was it. Now, there were other things that were really important, but inspecting your system was the number one most important thing, flipping a lid and seeing what's going on in every manhole every year. If you'll do that, you will prevent the vast majority of those backups, because then I can focus my attention, my cleaning budget, whatever the maintenance is, on where I need to be. That's the really key thing. About 62% of the manholes in 2024 were inspected. That went down. We had a higher percentage than that before. That's the kind of concerning trend, is that I think we're backing away from that a little bit and not doing our inspection as much as we have in the past. Okay, 44 of the 120 members did 100%. All right, so that's really the concerning trend. And probably if you take one thing out of my presentation, other presentations, we've got lots of good stuff, but one thing, inspections are key. We've got to know what's going on in our system. Cleaning frequency, and this kind of goes right along with what Jennifer said. We're about 3.5 years time frame to get through the entire system. Now, this is just on average. We realize that you're going to have hot spots that you may be cleaning once or twice a month if they're bad enough. But in general, all sections of pipe get cleaned in about 3.5 years. Now, we didn't focus on cleaning frequency as we're giving, hey, here's our recommendation, this is what you need to do. Why didn't we focus on that? Because this is money, right? It costs money to clean all of those things. So if we're going to give you a recommendation, we want it to be cheap and fairly easy to do. Flip your lids, check all of your manholes, and then do your cleaning, do your maintenance based on that information. That's a great question. I think there's potential for that technology. I don't have enough data to give a definitive answer on it, and that's part of the reason why in our sewer. So I'm doing that slide now. Part of the reason why in our sewer survey we ask that: do you use alternate technology to assess your system, acoustic or something else? Because we want to track that. And guess what we're going to do with that tracking? We figure out who's using that, and then we take the loss data and we pair those together and say, how are they doing? Are we having more or fewer backups for those agencies? What did they do with their cleaning? Did their cleaning frequency go down because they said, we're now doing acoustic monitoring of our system, so now we don't have to clean as often, and it's going to cost, and we don't have to spend as much money. What does that equate to on the back end? Are we having those backups? And here's the problem with sewer. Sewer's the long game, right? Because a problem in a sewer doesn't happen. Well, sometimes it does. Contractor pours a bunch of gravel down into a manhole. It happens like that. But maintenance things don't happen like that. It's the long game, right? A backup takes a long time for it to occur. And so we probably need 10 or 15 years of data, especially with the size. It's not a giant sampling size, to really see what's coming from that. So did that help at all? Okay. 14 of the 120 members clean their entire system every year. Now, I bring that up not because I'm telling you that everybody should clean their system every year, because there's good and bad with that, right? If you saw pitted pipe up in Heber, right? If I've got exposed aggregate, well, if I'm cleaning that every year, I'm going to blow those pipes out eventually, right? It's going to wear the pipes out. On the other side of that, from a claim standpoint, if the section of pipe that has the backup occurs was cleaned within 12 months, in the last 12 months, we will just deny the claim. We will say we have no liability exposure and we can make that stick because we've done everything reasonable and prudent. If it's been cleaned in the last 12 months, we're denying the claim and we'll go to court on that one and we'll win. Barring anything, you've done something really negligent. But if we done everything right and there was just, a bunch of wipes went down and got jammed in there somehow, and we had a backup, we're gonna fight tooth and nail on that one. Beyond a year, we've got to prove that we've been reasonable and prudent, and it's a lot harder. So 1 is the standard, but around 3 years is probably where a lot of us should get. But then again, if you're in Millville and you've got a brand new system, hasn't even got a drop of poop in it yet, right? Maybe a little bit. You might have hooked up one. There's nothing happened. It's all brand new plastic pipe, and they're on the side of a hill. They got good flow as long as their contractors did a good job and got everything graded right. Do they need to be cleaning every year? Absolutely not. They need to be cleaning every 3 years? Absolutely not. For a while, they need to be inspecting, right? And make sure, hey, was there some gravel left over in there? Are there issues there? But you may be in a system that's out in the flats, and it's an old part of town, and I got old concrete pipe, and I got bellies in it, and I got this and that and the other. You need to build your cleaning frequency around your specific circumstances. Okay, questions? All right, let's keep going here. Whew. Interesting to see these come out of the survey. About 44% of you are cleaning your own, and 56 are having contractor do it. This surprises me. This is actually leaning more towards contractors. The numbers that we get back over the years have gone more towards using contractors. Does that surprise you? Really? Okay. I'm sorry, what? Oh, okay. So there's maybe that equipment, staff, and all of those things. So it's a financial decision that we just pay the contractor and it gets done. Okay. Hire it. Okay. Interesting. That's a great viewpoint. And I get that challenge too. When Jason comes in and says, hey, you guys need to be inspecting every manhole every year. And I can say, well, this is how much time it takes. And we talked to multiple agencies and figured out the average time to do an inspection. Hey, it's going to take your guys 1 week. It's going to take 5 days to go through your entire system. Are you going to do that? Are you going to drop everything for 5 days and get it done? Hopefully you could, but in a lot of cases, you got other stuff going. So I get all of those things. Agency has equipment to respond to backups. About 73% have a vac truck, a jet truck, something to be able to respond. Why is that important to have that quick response capability? Yeah. the quicker you can respond, the fewer damages that we have. It's going to cost us less. If we have a backup that impacts the bathroom, is that going to be very expensive? No, it's all tile or vinyl. You know, we may be replacing some linens and maybe a cabinet and some. But what if it proceeds out through the house? The more it progresses, the cost just goes up exponentially. So yeah, having that ability is SSMP. Here's Jennifer talked a lot about this. There's still 9% of our member agencies that report not having an SSMP submitted to the state. So find yourself in that category. Got to get on that. That's probably 10 years plus that we got to get that done. Let's see. Pre-treatment. Jennifer talked about all of that. 40% have that. 68% have a FOG program, fats, oils, and greases. If you have a restaurant and you don't have a FOG program, you better get to work, because those restaurants are going to cause you grief with grease. A third of the members of the trust that have sewer exposure are using the acoustic evaluation. Is that the right word? Probably. Acoustic inspection. And a variety, some are using it themselves. They bought the equipment. Others are having a contractor do it. Inspection and documentation, because that's what we want you guys to do. And if that's a way that you can do it easier, you just got to write a check to them. Great. Let's talk about normalized performance. Here's a graph that looks vaguely similar to the claims graph, because it's normalized, right? So it's not going to change a whole lot, but we realize that some of you are Jordan Basin, and who's from Jordan Basin? Anybody? No, we had people signed up. Scott isn't here today. I don't know what's up with that. He comes to everything. Jordan Basin I didn't look at the numbers on there, but Jordan Basin has over 100,000 connections. Big. Some of our members have a few hundred connections. And so there's a difference there. So we normalize the data so you can compare yourself to the big giants that are out there or everybody else. So when you look at your report card, here's one of the metrics we use: claims per 1,000 connections. So we can put you on par with everybody else. And then you can see, once again, take a look at how the claims come down over the years. Costs, similarly. So let's just look at a couple of trends. I know you guys are as frustrated as I am about flushable wipes. They shouldn't publish flushable on them, right? Because they're not. Blocked by foreign objects, people dropping stuff down in there. Years ago, it was a subdivision that had been all laid out. They built all the roads, but they hadn't built any houses. All the infrastructure was in place, but the agency went out to do their regular manhole inspections. Even though nothing was happening, they flipped the lid at the end of a cul-de-sac, this terminal manhole there, and all of the laterals came in from there, and they looked down in and they're like, "What the heck is that?" Shined a light down in there, big deep one, and there were chairs and a table, and it was carpeted. And the kids in the neighborhood had found an awesome place. It was down in southern Utah, Washington County, where it's really hot. Here's a great place. It's nice and cool in the sewer, and anyway, so foreign objects that could get in there, grease, lift stations. These are issues that we see. Cumulative debris. I wanted to hit. Let's see. Laterals. Once again, what Jennifer said on that. Don't own the laterals. That's just asking for trouble, right? Then you're owning every dumb thing that the homeowner does. So, and then I wanted to hit this one: forgotten or lost lines, lost manholes. This is a fairly regular one where we have some real problems that it's not on a map, it's not in our inventory, but there was a sewer line that we just It may have gotten covered over. Sometimes these manholes are out in a farmer's field because it's crossing from one place to another, and we forget about it, and the farmer's going back and forth across it, and the lid gets popped off, and a bunch of dirt and gravel and whatever goes down in it, and suddenly we've got a backup. And so we need to be on a search and destroy for all of those and make sure those are all on our inventories and they're getting inspected.
This is what tree roots can do to your sewer line. And it's still coming.
Okay, so how do we prevent overflows? I've already given away a lot of spoilers on this. It's fairly simple for some of the basic things. Number one, attend the sewer summit. Get the information that we share. I hope you guys like it. I'd love feedback on it. If you liked it, we'd love to hear that. But if you want to see something different, or if you have an idea of, hey, we really did this thing that is really good, talk to us. As of tomorrow, we'll start planning Sewer Summit for next year. Get it on a calendar. And so if you've got some things that you would like to see, or you've seen a presentation by somebody that is really good on this subject, let us know, and we'll work on that. Manhole inspections, number one. That, like I said, if you take one thing from my presentation, inspect your manholes every year. Get out there and see what's going on. Even if you're paying somebody to do it, get eyes on those manholes. Come up with a cleaning plan, and deal with your if you're a city, deal with the city council on that. It's important that we have a discussion with them and that they make decisions. There are certain governmental immunity strategies that we can use if you have involved them and they make a discretionary decision over how they use their budget. And so it's not perfect. It's not going to work every time, but figure out what your plan is and then present that along with your budget process and let the council make that decision. Same thing goes for districts. Just be a board of directors there. Video inspection. So some things we just can't figure out unless we get eyes inside of there. So what's our plan? How often are we going to do that? And then your unique circumstances. Some of you are like Millville, and you've got a great situation to prevent backups. Some of you are in a tough spot where you've got old infrastructure that's crumbling, or it's flat and bellies and all kinds. Make sure we have accurate records and maps of our system so we know where we are, so we don't lose those manholes, we don't lose those lines. And a lot of you in there have an awesome GIS system, and it works great, but you know what? You can have a paper map, and that can work just as well as long as you keep it updated at lunchtime. So we set a stack of these out on the table out there if you didn't pick one up. This is, and the materials from this came from you guys, from our members, shared this information with us. It's good stuff. What it basically is if you've got a new person working in your collection department, it helps us to teach how to do a manhole inspection. From the cone to the trough, you're going to be instructed with this, and you can take the new person and say, here's what we're looking for. So it's really just something to use to train them. And I think we'll send that out to everybody that signed up for the Sewer Summit, so you've got it electronically, but you can grab a hard copy there as well. It has a way to track. Documentation is key in being able to defend yourself in a lawsuit, being able to avoid a lawsuit because you've got all your ducks in a row ahead of that. We've done everything, and I know you get sick of hearing Jason talk about documentation, but this is the key exhibit that's either going to cause you to go, yippee, we're out scot-free, or this is going to suck for the next 2 years of my life as I go through this lawsuit. That documentation is so important. So it can be a hard copy. You just got to keep them. You got to keep those around so we can show it, because guess what? I just documented, we cleaned and we inspected that part of our system during the last year where that backup occurred. Trust, deny that claim, because it's not our fault. We did everything that was reasonable and prudent. Others are a little more sophisticated and you have an electronic system. That's great. Should you take pictures? If you can take pictures, do that. It's easy to take a picture, right? Every manhole, when you inspect it, take a picture of it. Because guess what I just did? I documented the condition on that day, and that's gonna be a key exhibit for us if you ever have a backup. Communicate with the residents. Make sure that you're sharing information about what they should and shouldn't do. Make sure that you have information available. If there's a problem, there needs to be a number that they can get hold of a live body at on Sunday morning at 2 a.m. and they got sewage flowing into their basement. There needs to be a phone number that they can get a live person. Document complaints. The whole process there, that's going to help us as well. Once again, don't take ownership of those laterals. That's going to cause you lots of grief. Have a plan for all of these things. Response plan, but those contact numbers are important. Information cards to the residents, bill stuffers, all of those things. Sorry, I just had to have a, little honor to Ozzy, right? So when I found that one, whoops, I went too far ahead there. What's your schedule? If you're not there, have that conversation. Mike and I are happy to have a conversation with your board of directors, your council, and say, here's what you might face. And we have some people within the trust membership that got their system into a bad spot, to where they were way behind the 8 ball, and they had over $500,000 in losses, and the residents were all really mad at them and all of those things. And we can have those testimonials to help them budget what they need to do it right. All right. Once again, are you doing it right? That's why we had Granger Hunter here to help us on that, because there are ways to mess that up. Inspect your system with video periodically and track that as well. Fog program and pre-treatment if that's applicable. But if you've got a restaurant, you need to have a fog program, and you need to put that into your ordinance. So those interceptors are required. So our inspectors are ensuring that they're there. That is really key. When I say a member agency has gotten into trouble and it was a kind of a not system-wide but really systemic problem, this is where it generally came from. We're from a restaurant district that just was just like this. I have TV footage somewhere. Couldn't find it. Been here too long. Couldn't find what it was, but it was just stalactites of grease hanging down. It was far worse than what you see here. All it takes is a chunk of that grease to break off, and we've got a backup. Okay. All right. Industrials, Jennifer talked about pre-treatment programs. Make sure everybody's trained, and that's I love your feedback today talking about it's hard to hire good people, and sometimes we hire a contractor to fill that role because we may not be able to physically fill those roles. All right. I think I covered that. Look how good we've done here. I covered it all. Document your inspections, your cleaning, all of those things need to be documented. Do you document problems? Yeah. But don't forget to document when we fix those problems as well. Those are the key things to prevent that. Okay. Be reasonable and prudent and be able to prove it. That's what we're trying to do. If we do that, we're going to live long and prosper in the sewer world. Oh, what about those other sewer issues that are out there? Yeah, let's be smart about how we're doing this. Keep the public away. If you're popping manhole lids, let's put a portable handrail around that. That's for that guy, but it's also for us as well to keep us safe. Let's close off the sidewalk if I've got to be doing stuff there, so we don't get people where they shouldn't be. We've got a $1 million claim for an issue like that, where a path was not closed and somebody came into it and had serious injuries from materials that people were just using to do their job. So let's be smart about those things and avoid this kind of problem. So just kind of a summary of what we talked about today. Know your system. Flip those lids, look inside, do those annual manhole inspections, have a good, accurate GIS or mapping or mapping system there so we know what we're dealing with. Make your plans. So your SSMP can really contain all of those things. So it says this is how we're going to manage this, but let's build a plan and follow the plan. In a claim situation, that plan it's a public document. It's going to be one of those easy exhibits for plaintiff counsel to say, let's see your SSMP. Did you do what you said you're going to do? So you've got the document, make sure everybody's trained on it, and we're doing it the way that we said that we would. Have a plan that we can respond quickly to reduce the amount of damage that happens, and also deal with the goodwill as well. If we're there and we're polite and courteous and we help out the neighbors, hey, it's Sunday morning at 2 a.m. and those guys were out there right away and they cleared the blockage. And yeah, it sucks that my bathroom stinks and all of that, but man, that could have been a lot worse had they not got here in time. Okay, maintain your system, clean TV, mitigate hot spots, manage those other things that may cause problems. Make sure operators know what they're doing. Give them the time, the training that they need so they can effectively do their job. Okay, questions? Any questions? You guys are like, heck no, it's lunchtime. We don't ask questions when we know lunch is waiting downstairs. No questions? Mike and myself, our job is to help you guys. And so if you have questions, you need backup, you need boilerplates, documents, things like that, let us know. That's what we do. And if we don't know an answer to something, we'll go out and find it. If there's something that we need to look for, we'll do that. And if there are things that you want to have for training available, let us know, and we can go out and arrange those things, and we can put it online, or we can do it here at the trust. Thanks, folks. Appreciate you, and let's go eat lunch.